Hi, so I'm Jennifer, also known as Furby, and I'm going to be showing the new game Any % category for Gauntlet 7 Sorrows. It's a pretty straightforward category. We have some other wackier ones where you can use like multi-controllers and stuff like that, but for here we're just going to be using one controller, pretty standard stuff. In order to start this game, I'm actually going to be picking player 4. There's some small advantages that we can seemingly get as player 4. This is a new discovery for us, actually. It's very fun. So I'll talk about that throughout the run. And also I'm going to be playing Elf. Elf is the best character in the game. We'll talk about why during the run. So I'm going to be running my splits during this. They're going to be comparing against my average. My current PB is in the low 52s. I think it's like a 52-20 something. But and I got that, I think, a day or two ago. But my average is a high 53 right now, and with some of the newer strats, it's probably even a little bit lower than that. The average hasn't had time to come down because we found some really helpful things in the past like week or so. So I'm going to get this started. I'm going to move my split somewhere where I can see them a little better, and we're off. So Gauntlet 7 Sorrows is the 2005 sequel to Gauntlet Dark Legacy, and it was unfortunately met with pretty poor reception. The game didn't deliver on a lot of the things that it promised, and it left a lot of Gauntlet fans wishing they had gotten more out of it. And because of this, it wasn't a very popular game, and in turn wasn't a very popular speedrunning game either. That has changed recently, where a couple of runners have really dug into this game, and there's been just a total renaissance on things. For many years, the world record was over an hour. It was about an hour, 1 minute, and that was like a 9-year-old record. And that was beat at the, I think it was during January of 2026, we beat that record. And now we are far past it. So lots and lots of great optimizations have been found. This category is down to a 52-minute category, and the other category is down to, I think, 39 minutes. So a lot of fun stuff. So what you're going to see for the first couple levels here is it's really important for us to pick up some gold. So I'm opening some chests to get some gold. And I'm just going to be trying to run to the end of levels as quickly as I can. This first level is pretty straightforward. So this chest here is nice because it gives us a 250 gold drop, but the rest are only giving 25. And that's the first level. Pretty straightforward stuff. Second level, we're going to start seeing some of the common mechanics. We actually got to see a little bit of it in the first level. We, at the beginning of the first level, we had to push a statue and pick up a key. Pushing things and picking up keys is a very core mechanic to this game for some reason. Likely because the development cycle ended up being a lot shorter than originally planned. So I now have to destroy some generators in order to progress forward. And so I'm going to be using the slam attack that we usually just call Vengeance, because that's what Elf says, in order to destroy them a little bit faster. So here, I'm going to turn around and do it so I can also throw the enemies behind me, because the attack serves as kind of like a stun as well. And I'm going to do the same thing here where I'm trying to actually use that trail that throws enemies around. I'm going to try to hit other generators with it so that I can do this section a little faster. Just a small optimization we found in the way that we use our attacks to save a little time. So here, little cutscene to show us we need to pick up some keys again. Lots and lots of keys in this game. In order to do some of the stuff here, we're gonna have to backtrack a little bit. So first I'm gonna pull this lever and take a teleporter. But then I'm gonna have to go back and get this key, and then once I get the key, I'm gonna have to backtrack again. So once I have to backtrack the second time, I'm going to be pretty sick of backtracking, so I'm probably just not going to do it. But I do still want to play the game, and I do still want to finish the level. So let me get this key, and let me go stand down here, see if there's some fire traps, and let's just, die to the fire trap. What that's done is let us warp. We call them death warps. It lets us warp a little bit of distance to a spawn point that is closer to where we want to be. We're going to do that a couple times in this run. Here we're also going to see a new thing. That's called the Mana Burst. That big whoosh. The Mana Burst is this huge AoE. It does a lot of damage. It actually kills death. It's the only thing that kills death. And it also lets us hit levers, such as the one we just hit, from a far distance very quickly without having to shoot arrows, which take more time. So that's level 2. Now we're going into Plague Town, level 3. This is a very interesting level. This level's awesome for a lot of reasons, in-game and out-of-game. In-game, it's cool because it looks cool, in my opinion. And it's also cool because it has the first boss of the game, the Scarecrow. The Scarecrow is a pretty straightforward boss. You know, you normally just fight him, attack him, get his health to 0, move on. He's kind of annoying because he can stun you a lot. But the Scarecrow is also where we found the very first glitch in this game. So this game was previously thought to have no glitches. But when I was practicing this fight and this boss fight months ago to try and get better at these runs, I realized there's a way to bug the Scarecrow out and get an instant kill. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna set ourselves up for that. But first, we need to kill a bunch of enemies so that we can get a key to spawn. So I'm just gonna be standing here. I'm gonna pick up some more gold. We've been picking up gold this whole time. That's for a move that we need to buy soon called Continental Assault. We're gonna do that at the end of this level. But now we're just gonna keep taking out enemies until we see the first prompt appear, which will say, keep on fighting. There it is, keep fighting. And once keep fighting appears, that means we're about halfway, so I'm now gonna go stand where the key is gonna spawn. And we're gonna try to get that key pickup as quickly as possible, which will hopefully be instant. We're a little too far to the right. That's okay. We'll pick it up right after. Boop, there we go. Gonna pick up some health, and I'm gonna get this turkey dinner thing as well. And what you may have seen is I walked along the top wall as I entered this fight. That's important. That's how we set up for this glitch. So I walked along the top wall. Now I'm holding a specific direction on my controller. And then I have to hit 2 buttons. I have to hit A and then X. A clears a prompt. X does an attack. I need to do this at a very specific timed interval. It's between 175 to 180 beats per minute. And if I do this correctly, I'll be able to instantly kill the Scarecrow. But we have another little issue. As player 4, we're further away from the spot we need to be at. So the way this works is I'm going to hit this cauldron of fire. The fire will fall. It will hit the Scarecrow. He'll melt into the floor, which isn't supposed to happen. It's a glitch. So I'm going to have to reposition myself really quickly as well. So there we go. It's very consistent, but also kind of hard to do. So that's the Scarecrow clip. First glitch that we found, and lets us skip an entire boss fight, which is awesome. So now a key is spawning. We got to pick up the key. Now we can go to the end of the level. It's showing us that we can now open that door. So we're going to crank this lever and walk to that door. Scarecrow clip, again, it was something I found while practicing the boss fight. This was before I'd ever even done a full run of the game. I was just practicing the early levels to start learning it. And that happened in my practice, and so I spent a long time searching for a setup. And once we found the setup, or once I found the setup, I actually finally shared this with all of the Gauntlet people, because that was when I started posting my first runs, which is how I got introduced into the community and into this game. So, I'm gonna run to the end here. And we're gonna buy a move called Continental Assault. Continental Assault is kind of the whole reason we play this character. Costs 500 gold. There's 2 types of moves. There's like regular moves that are parts of combos that you can do, and then there's special moves which cost mana, and the special moves cost 500 gold to buy. So we collected 500 gold. We got Continental Assault. And now we are going to be able to rip through generators so fast, because this special move is just so much stronger than the others. And it's because it's meant to be a big spread shot, but we're going to stand right in front of something and just absolutely melt it. So that's going to be good for bosses. It's good for these enemy spawners. It lets us save a lot of time, and it's the reason Elf is considered the best character for running this game. So gonna sneak under these traps here. I'm actually just gonna let them hit me sometimes because they don't really do that much damage, and I just need to walk forward. And the rest of this level, we mostly just need to walk to the end, and then there's a cool trick we'll do at the end. So, sort of a moment to take a breather, read chat. In a marathon setting, could read donations or something here. as we walk to the end of this level. There's not a whole lot going on, but of course, for the purposes of this, I'm going to talk a little bit about the game still. So, this game has had a bit of an interesting and storied history for a long time. I mean, it came out in 2005, so like over 20 years ago. For a long time, no one really played it much. No one really cared about it. A couple people at different times have done some runs, but no one has really dedicated a significant amount of time and energy to it. And so the fact that multiple people have decided to do this recently, there's 3 of us currently, me, Boyo, and Blue Screen, is honestly miraculous and amazing. It's so cool to see so many people enjoying this game in ways that no one really has before. So it really warms my heart to see that. All right, we're gonna do a cutscene skip here. This was a more recent discovery. So I'm going to destroy this generator while standing by the door, and that causes the end portal to spawn where I'm standing, because normally it'll spawn by that door, but since I'm already standing there, I'm already touching the end portal, and I can finish the level during the cutscene. It lets us skip that cutscene. It's one of 2 cutscene skips we found this way. Very cool trick that we can do. Whoops, didn't mean to kick there. So, all right. We're going to proceed to go through this level. This is a level that used to be called Money by many players. And that's because there's a lot of gold on this level. And we actually do need to pick up some of it because we're going to start picking up gold for our second ability and our final ability that we need to unlock, and that's Falcon Pact. But before that, I do want to point something out that I haven't quite pointed out yet, and that is this little guy.
Death has appeared.
You can see on my webcam even, we love to meme about death in this game's community, because for some reason, when the announcer says that death has appeared, it sounds like he's saying death has a beard. And so everyone talks about Death's beard all the time, and we like to make jokes about it, and every time we summon Death, a lot of us like to join in and being like, Death has a beard. It's a silly thing. It's very fun. There's lots of little spots where we get to summon Death. He actually helps us out in parts of the run as well, which is fun. So Death's honestly kind of more of an ally than anything in this game for us. So we're going to shoot this catapult, because for some reason we need to destroy that building to drop a bridge. Not a lot of things like that make too much sense in this game. Probably, again, because they rushed the development cycle. Essentially, Midway, the publisher for this game, they went to a bunch of their projects and said, hey, one of you needs to be done by the end of the year. So figure it out. And Gauntlet drew the short straw and had to be the team to just rush their game out, which was a huge bummer because it ended up leading to a lot of cut content. Here, I'm gonna pick up just a little bit of extra gold here, just for safety. But here, let's buy. So this is the next ability now. We're gonna get Falcon Pact. So we have Continental Assault, and we have Falcon Pact. Those are the 2 abilities we need. But yeah, the silver lining for us is that because development was rushed, this game is kind of weird, kind of silly, kind of janky, and it means we get to do a lot of cool, weird things in the speedrun. So it's a bummer that as a casual, Gauntlet fan, we didn't get something better, but it is kind of special that we got such a unique game for us to enjoy. So here you're going to see me do this front and flip attack. That's Falcon Pact. It's part of a combo. It's XXY to do it. And it does pretty good damage to generators, but it also pushes enemies away, which is super helpful. And it's helpful because of how Continental Assault works. So Continental Assault, which shoots this spread of arrows, is what we use to destroy most generators and stuff. But for some reason, Continental Assault's arrows technically spawn behind the elf, not in front of him. And then they travel through him. And because of this, if enemies are behind us, the arrows will hit the enemies first. And then they won't damage the generator. And so Falcon Pact allows us to deal damage while also pushing some enemies away, which can just alleviate some of that. We've also tried just turning around when we use Continental Assault, but weirdly the backwards hitbox isn't always consistent, so you can still miss a lot of the hits. So this is the best way for us to add some consistency to our damage. So yeah, this is another kind of long section. We have a lot of doors we need to open. and we have to kill all the enemies in order to do so. So another spot where we can kind of rechat, regenerations, do whatever, take a little breather. This is all just about clearing enemies and opening doors for a short portion. But I'll talk a little bit about the history of this game as well. So I mentioned the shortened development cycle, which is a big bummer. I think they developed like the whole game in like a year or something. They had showed like early footage of the game at different like during like different interviews and stuff, and the early versions of the game looked really cool. They also used to have John Romero on the team. John Romero worked on games like Doom and other like big games, lots of shooters and stuff, lots of like really gritty, serious games, and they wanted this game to be like really gritty and serious and mature. So he was on the development team, and he actually designed some characters that were going to be in the game. But once they started rushing the development, trying to get the game out, he wasn't really happy with the project, and he ended up leaving. And with that, they also ended up cutting the characters he was going to make. If you look under my webcam, there's these two characters that might not look familiar if you have played this game. It's the ones on the right. Those are the cut characters. That's the concept art for the cut characters that they did not add. It's the Lancer and the Tragedian, I think it's pronounced. And they sounded like they were going to be pretty cool characters, but unfortunately we never got them. So that's sort of where this game's like past exists in, and it's largely why it was so overlooked as a game for such a long time, is that it just got rushed. Alright, we're going to try a trick here. It's kind of hard to do. It's called key skip. I want to kick into this key. Nice, we got it. We kick into the key. And if you saw, I teleported during the cutscene. That's not supposed to happen. It allows me to save a little time by, you know, doubling up on my activities there. I'm watching a cutscene, but I'm also teleporting. And then we get to start on the other side of the log. Normally, you have to teleport afterwards. So that's kind of just a nice little trick that we use to save some time. So a couple more doors to open. A couple more enemies to take out, and then we're going to be fighting the next boss, the second boss in the game, who's called the Twisted Man. So all of the bosses in the game were once humans that had advised the Emperor to try and steal immortality from the main characters. That's where our characters come from. We are now trying to exact revenge on all of them, and they had all been turned into monsters for what they had done. So they're called the advisors, and Twisted Man is the next advisor that we're going to be taking out. Funny enough, when Twisted Man got turned into a monster because of what he had done, he got turned into a giant tree guy. And because of this, one of our runners, Blue Screen, kept calling him Groot, and so now we all just call this guy Groot. So honestly, we frequently forget his real name is even Twisted Man. This is Groot. So I am Groot, he is Groot, we are Groot, we're gonna fight Groot. Hopefully Groot is nice to us and doesn't give us a bad cycle of attacks. All the bosses kind of fall in the same category of like, we do our best, but if they do attacks that we don't have like tools to defend against, then well, we can't really do anything about it. That red swirly move he just did, that's one of them. So that actually killed me, which is weirdly best case scenario. But hopefully he gives us, okay, his attack actually went over my head, which is great. We're just gonna try to lay into him with some Continentals, and then before I kill him, I'm gonna run to a specific spot. This is going to allow me to do the second cutscene skip because I know where the end portal spawns. It spawns right here. So now I need him to come up here with me, and then I can finish him off. If we can. There we go. And then there we go. We have skipped the cutscene during, or we've finished the level during a cutscene, and it's actually a really long cutscene, so that saves a bunch of time. So here we are, entering Standing Stones. Standing Stones is probably one of the most frustrating levels. Originally, there was supposed to be a bunch of lore and cutscenes and dialogue for the wizard on this level. Of course, all that got cut, but that's okay. If anything, it saves us a little time. And Standing Stones really should be called Pushing Stones, because that's what we're going to be doing for the next, 5 minutes, is pushing lots of stones. And we have some tricks to make pushing the stones go a little bit better. Historically, this level was very tough because the enemies keep attacking you while you're trying to push the stones. You're meant to kill all of them, but it takes too much time for us, so we just don't do it. But we actually have some tricks later on in the level that help us do some of the more difficult portions a little easier. It was a strategy that I had tried to use a couple times in the past, but it was so inconsistent that I just didn't really know what to do to, like, make it work every time. And then, as with many of these things, Blue Screen came in to save the day. Blue Screen found a setup for us that made it very consistent and work every time. So I'm going to try to take another Death Warp here if I can. These guys are probably going to attack me kind of slow, but where I will respawn, I don't want that cheese, that'll heal me. Where it's going to respawn me is actually going to be closer to where I need to go. So if I can just take like one more attack. There we go. And now we can head to the next section. Fun little Death Warp. It's a little better if different enemies spawn, but it was still pretty nice. And so now we're going to go to Standing Stone. We call it Standing Stones Part 1. We have to push 3 stones. 3, not too bad. Part 2 is a little harder. So I'm just going to do my best to keep enemies off me as much as possible and try to just get these stones pushed. Luckily, they jump back when I swipe at them a lot of times, which can give me a little breathing room. And once again, a little bit of wiggle room in our timing here with what we need to be paying attention to. This is kind of an easy section, but you know, it's just about not dying and pushing stones, and so good chance to read chat, read donations, do whatever. One more stone to push. See if we can get a ham here. Yeah, we got the ham from that little chest. Hit them with some arrows so that I can clear off some of the enemies. We're almost done with the Standing Stones portion. This part of the level, a little frustrating, but not a huge problem. The next part of the level used to be a huge problem, but it's not anymore. We have a trick that makes it, at worst, a lot easier, and at best, completely, like, for free. It's very cool. So, a little bit more time where I need to travel up this pathway. I'm actually going to use Continental to clear out some enemies just to make this a little easier to walk through. And after we get around this pathway, this walkway, we'll go to Standing Stones Part 2. So, enemies are quirky and weird and silly, and also maybe not the smartest. They need to be close enough to you in order to aggro. It's almost like their eyesight's really bad. So we're going to not tell them about things like eyeglasses and optometrists, and instead we're going to abuse their bad eyesight. So before I start pushing one of these stones, I'm going to burst. Boom. And then I'm going to start pushing the stone, and enemies are going to spawn and attack me. And I'm just going to let them do it. Go for it. I welcome it. As long as I can keep pushing this stone, I'm okay. Almost have it pushed all the way. There we go. Now, let's put these guys in the corner. They're going to time out because they have been bad. They are helping the bad guys. They should be helping us, the good guys. And now, I think everyone has spawned. I think we're doing pretty good. I want to die. I'm going to let them kill me, and I'm going to spawn so far away that without their glasses or some binoculars, they can't see me. They don't know I'm here. And so I get to do the rest of this level all by myself, completely for free. It's a pretty big time save in our runs. And it also just makes this level so much more consistent. Like, it's so much easier to just push these stones by yourself. We do have some of these summoners, right? But they're summoners. They're trying to summon bone, skeleton, like scorpion guys. But there's too many enemies. That was the whole point of this. We spawned so many enemies that no more enemies can spawn. And so they keep trying to summon these little scorpions, and you see them throwing these skulls to do it, but it doesn't do anything. So the summoners are kind of just useless when this happens. It's good for us. So here we are. We're going to finish off this level. Final Standing Stone will now no longer be standing. And we're going to go ahead to the end of the level, and we're going to start up the next boss fight, which is called the Stone Golem. So the Stone Golem is a weird fight for us. The Stone Golem, you can't damage him. You can't hurt him. He's just made of rocks, right? Maybe if we said some insults, but we're not trying to hurt his emotions, because that would be mean. We're just trying to get to the next level. So instead, what we need to do is these summoners that are standing on these little pillars, we need to take them out. We take them out, we take the golem out, because they're the ones controlling the golem. In order to knock the pillars down, the golem has to help us out, so I kind of like the golem, to be honest. He's kind of our friend, because he's going to help us out a little bit here. He's going to swipe at these rocks. The rocks will get destroyed. It'll drop the summoners down on the floor. But I'm not going to kill the summoners yet. I'm going to let them stay for a little bit. So I'm gonna just keep running to the rocks, and I'm gonna block. I'll zoom the camera out so we can see a little better. I'm gonna block while I stand here, get a little swipe. Swipes are nice because they don't knock us down. I do appreciate that. And we're gonna knock down all the summoners. So there's a pit in the middle. You can see the pit in the background there. It's a little pit in the middle. If we can knock the summoners into the pit, they die instantly. It saves a lot of time. So if you remember the mana burst attack we have, it actually pushes enemies. It like pushes them back. We're going to try to mana burst all of the summoners into the pit all at once. It saves a lot of time to do it this way, since we don't have to individually fight them, since they do have a lot of health. And in order to do this, we're going to try to corral them up. We have some strats to gather and corral the enemies, and then once we do this, hopefully we'll be able to burst them all in. The pits in this game are kind of common. There's a lot of like weird pits like this where enemies will die if they go into them. I need to bait one more attack from the golem. That's good. This lets me pull the summoners in front. And then I'm going to get the golem to run the other direction, and we're going to turn around. And hopefully we can get all of the summoners at once. Awesome! Hey, I think we did it! So we call that a perfect golem. If it did work, we call that a perfect golem if they all go in at once. And we'll see a second cutscene if that happened. Yep, there's the second cutscene. Perfect golems are very nice. So I'm gonna mash. You're gonna hear some noises as I mash the right trigger in a minute. That's because I'm skipping the shop and the level up screen before the cutscene actually finishes, just because for some reason it loads in early. So right there, I skipped the shop and the level up screen. So now we're gonna go straight to the save game screen. We're gonna say no because we're speedrunners. We don't really need to save our progress. But yeah, that pit in the middle, there's a lot of things like that in this game. There's these pits that you can put enemies into. That's because originally you were supposed to be able to do grapple moves. You're supposed to be able to grab enemies and like throw them. They cut that along with a lot of other like combat mechanics that they were going to do. And they never really got rid of the pits. And so you can get enemies into pits and instantly kill them, but it's really hard to do because without like your mana burst or like an uppercut move, there's really no other way to do it. So it's kind of an awkward design quirk, but it still does come in handy quite a bit in our runs, which is awesome. So here we're just going to have to pick up a couple keys to move forward on this level. And this level is very interesting. So we used to, I used to hate this level. I don't want to speak for the other runners. I used to hate this level. It's really hard. We've made it a little easier with some strats, but we also found something on this level that is huge. So it may have slipped past some people here, but my sword actually looks different than it did at the beginning. I had a rapier, and now I have sort of this scimitar sword. That's because we did pick up a weapon upgrade earlier on. We don't normally do that. There was one that was kind of just like right along our path on level 3, so I just picked it up while I was there. But this weapon upgrade doesn't really do much. And normally we skip weapon upgrades because it just takes way too long to go pick them up. And we've skipped a couple of them. But there happens to be a weapon upgrade on this level that's not too far out of the way. And is apparently, it's actually surprisingly really good. Most of the weapon upgrades are not that good. This one is really good. So we only recently started using it to save time, and it makes this level easier and the next couple levels easier. So that was one of the changes in our route that allowed us to push all the way into the 52-minute mark for this category. So just gonna sneak past some of these people. And there's a teleporter here that normally we wouldn't take, but now we're gonna take, because this is gonna give us that weapon upgrade. So give me that weapon. Now we're gonna be really cooking with some sauce. This does some good damage. So I'm gonna go up to this generator. I'm gonna take this guy off, and we're just gonna one continental. Most of the time, that's all it takes. I'm gonna use some falcons just to keep enemies away, but like, we are doing a lot more damage than we used to. So this helps a lot. We do have to be careful. It's pretty easy to die on this level, which isn't a huge deal. It's just a little nicer to not die. So I'm going to block some attacks here. Try to kick through. And we're just going to try to avoid as many fireballs as possible, because those are the attacks that really hurt us. And we have now taken out all of those generators, and we can move on to the end of the level. So, nice little optimization we found there by picking up that weapon upgrade that lets us save a little bit of time. So, that level, it's not the biggest difference, but it's these next couple levels where it really comes into play. So, we're going to go into Imperial Palace. This is another pretty straightforward level. A great chance to be reading chat, checking donations, things like that, because we have just a couple objectives we need to clear out. So I'll talk a little bit more about sort of the game and the community and how things have been as we do a lot of these sort of generator destroys and lever pulls and stuff. So I entered into the community early 2026. It's when I started posting runs. And over the past few months, we have completely transformed this speed run. It used to be very different. A lot of the strategies we use now were not known back then. And it was runners like Bluescreen and Boyo showing interest in the game that got me to like really dig my feet in and say like, okay, I'm going to run it too. Like I've been wanting to, I'm going to do it. And the past few months have just been so special. We've had a renaissance for this game where we found tons of new stuff. It's been the most active that that this game has ever like been. We've been able to do like races together and co-op runs. It's been a lot of fun. Historically, this game was run with a lot of disregard for any of the actual mechanics in the game. And so I feel like it's great to see that even though this game was initially overlooked and not really seen as a very serious Gauntlet game or speed game, that it still found its niche and found its community. Because runners like me, Boyo, and Bluescreen have just been putting some time out of our lives to give this game a little bit of love. I love the idea that something that was initially thought to be kind of a flop and a waste of time and development energy and money now is special to some people. And it's very special to me. This has been one of the most positive and enjoyable speedrunning experiences I've had in a long time. It's been really awesome. So, alright. We're reaching the end of this level. We're just going to crank this lever, and this is going to finish things off, and then we're gonna be in the next level, which will be the next boss. There's actually 2 bosses on this next level. 2 bosses! The first boss is like a mini boss, and then the second one is a real boss. And typically these bosses are actually kind of tough. They can really be mean to us, give us some bad moves. The first one's not too bad, but the second one a little bit more so. So this level is called Throne Room, and it's very infamously known amongst us Seven Sorrows runners because of how many runs you can lose to this level. Oh, yeah, we're good. And it's largely just because the second boss on this level, if he's mean, we can lose another, 10, 15 seconds just from that. And in a run that you're trying to get world record on, 10, 15 seconds ain't time you want to be losing. Luckily for something like this, it's not as big of a deal. We don't really have any, huge run killers, luckily. Nothing that's going to be, setting us back multiple minutes or anything like that. It's usually smaller chunks, 10, 15 seconds. So that is one of the nice things about running this game, is that you can take most runs to completion. Most of the time you can finish it out, because depending on how you feel about your run, if you're okay with a just getting a run in that's 10, 15, 20 seconds slower than your PB, then you can finish it out. And that feels pretty good. And it's also the consistency in the run lets someone like me say oh, hey, I need to eat dinner in an hour. Well, I know that this won't take more than, this much time, so I'm good. I can just go ahead and do it. So I like that there's been a lot of work to add consistency. This used to not be a very consistent run, but we've added a lot of consistency, so that's awesome to see. So we're gonna make sure we get that spawn point, and then we have some levers to pull. This room is so silly. They did not consider the fact that people would play this game by themselves, I think, because there's gonna be enemies attacking us like no matter what we do here. And because of that, it's hard to pull these levers that we need to pull. So what we do, we have some strats. We're gonna use the burst, and then I'm gonna crank the lever like this. And then I'll take an intentional death after this to refresh my mana, and we'll do this again. And that lets us pull these levers fully, but otherwise, there's like almost no way to do it, unless you have a friend, like another character in. So very strange that they didn't consider what it would be like to play this level by yourself. But this was meant to be a party game, and it is a pretty good party game. I mean, even at a casual playthrough, it takes 3-4 hours to finish. And that's a fun afternoon with your friends playing through a nice simple game. So I think it still did serve that purpose pretty well. But it's a little bit tougher as a solo game. All right, this is he who ruins runs. This is the Grand Magistrate. What we are looking for are fireballs. Things that aren't fireballs are not so nice. So he's gonna start with one, but we want him to keep using them. So lightning's not too bad. But we're hoping to not get the ice or the celestial pillar. So there's a fireball, which is good. I'm out of mana, so we're gonna use Falcon Pact. Another fireball, which is amazing. And we might get away. Ooh, we jumped over the lightning. That's actually very rare. So the jump from Falcon Pact jumped over the lightning and slammed him for the kill. So that was really cool. And that was a very good Grand Magistrate fight. That was actually very uncommonly good. Usually it might take another like 5 to 10 seconds. So we might actually see some time save on the splits over there if that went as good as I think it did. So, Death has a beard, our favorite little guy. Always fun. They spawn him when you kill this boss because it's supposed to pressure you to finish the level, but like he walks so slowly, we're literally not even gonna see him. All we gotta do is push this statue out of the way and then we're done. So, there we go. Since I'm running against my averages and I haven't done too many runs with this weapon upgrade, normally Throne Room's going to go a lot faster than it usually does. So that's kind of why we see the extra like 14 seconds there. So now we get to see some fun stuff with player 4. So you saw me spawn just below this teleporter. That normally doesn't happen. That's where player 4 spawns. So that saves us a little time from walking. Now we're going to take out some generators. And then later on in this level, we're going to take a teleporter. And it's going to teleport us to a way better spot in the room than it normally does. And that's because we're player 4. And player 4 just kind of gets special treatment for some reason and gets the better spawn points for a lot of things. So, going to kick some enemies out of the way. And now we need to take out a bunch of enemies to move on. Defeat the hordes to move on. So I'm going to slam downwards once or twice just to try and get some of those enemies out of the way. And I'm actually going to go down there and check if I can, yeah, take out a few more. I'm gonna do this just because those enemies can't come up here, and so it reduces the amount that we can get spawned in this room. So now we just need to keep fighting enemies, using our abilities where we can. I actually am not going to be using Continental on these guys because if Continental doesn't kill someone, it does leave them blinded, and blinded enemies they stand still, and I don't want them to stand still. I want them to come to me. So we're just going to be doing our best to try and take out as many of these enemies as we can. I'm going to take out this sorcerer here. And again, this is just a moment for take a breather. I usually read chat during this because I just got to keep swiping at the guys. These enemies are called Royal Guards. They're one of like 2 factions of enemies. There's mostly just Royal Guards and Trolls. There's probably meant to be a lot more, but they just didn't quite make the cut, so. Now we're going to probably get hit by a bunch of arrows. Sometimes we can avoid it, sometimes we can't, but that's okay. I'm very low on health, but luckily pretty much every spawn point in this game is really close to each other, so not a huge risk. But we can try and take the teleporter, and here's where we see that we actually teleport at the bottom of the room. Normally you teleport to the top of the room if you're player 1. So there's an extra like 2-3 seconds that we save of walking time, so. We're gonna look for some cheese. Oh, actually, we're just gonna die immediately and be back in this room, which is fine. Normally, we try not to die and we try to pick up some cheese, and we see there's cheese here. Originally, this game was gonna have health orbs, And there was this whole mechanic they planned where the health orbs, if you didn't pick them up, the generators would soak up the health orbs, and that's what would spawn death. If they soak up too many health orbs, death spawns. They cut that, and they said, you know what, death is just going to spawn from random, like, specific chests. We're just pick some chests, and when you open those chests, it spawns death. And that's kind of cool, because now we get to know when he's going to be around, so that's nice for us. But then, for some reason, they said, and we're also not going to use orbs for the health. We're going to use cheese. We're going to use big old cheese wedges, which are apparently really stale, because every time we pick them up, they make a crunchy noise, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense for cheese. But it's so silly looking, like these giant cheese wedges just sitting on the ground. So we actually get kind of hype when we see the cheeses. Anytime we need cheese and it drops and we pick it up, we always kind of like, oh, cheese! Which is fun. It's just so goofy that they chose gigantic cheese slices. Okay, once again, we're gonna see our favorite dude. Death has a beard. I actually pulled Death in here because we're gonna take some death warps, and you also saw that I bursted before opening his chest. I did that because I wanted to clear out some enemies to force some other enemies to spawn, because in these areas we get these shield guys, and the shield guys do a lot of damage. And since I'm going to try to take an intentional death at a very specific time, I want strong enemies. So let's try not to die too early. Oh, one more slam, please. Pull the lever. Awesome. So now we die as we pull that lever there. Right here, we're going to take the death. Death actually helped us take that even faster. And now we have teleported backwards. And this is actually where the next lever is. So saves us some backtracking. The thing that we really don't like doing, and I'm actually going to do it again. So we have a couple shield guys. We're going to try and get them to kill us again, and that's going to save us a little walking. So hopefully they don't shield bash us too much. It's nice when they hit us with their actual weapon because it does more damage. But it looks like we're going to die pretty quickly here. There we go. And now we are up here again, and we can go to the next part of the level. This next portion of the level used to have this weird bug, but we blue screen solved the riddle. So I'm gonna slam here. Slam. That killed a bunch of enemies. When I enter this room, look at the back wall. You're gonna see enemies spawning on the back wall potentially. Right there, you see that guy come through, and there's another one? Right now, I have to kill these tall blue guys, and when they die, this gate is supposed to open. And here you see it opening. For some weird reason, if no enemies are spawning in the back of the room, which would happen if there was too many enemies spawned in other rooms, the gate just doesn't open for like a whole minute, and it's a huge time loss. So here we're gonna see the weapon upgrade just absolutely doing work on these generators. Normally this room takes much longer, but we can just shred through them. I'm gonna preserve a little bit of my mana to help me in the beginning of a boss fight that happens at the end of this level. But yeah, that weapon upgrade really does some good work. And that's the last time this weapon upgrade is going to help us, because we're about to pick up the best weapon in the game, which is just up here. But first we have to walk quite a ways, so another chance to catch our breath and read chat or something, read donations, etc. We really just got to walk to the end, get ourselves to that boss fight. But yeah, blue screen solved that riddle of the gate that wouldn't open, realizing that as long as we had enemies spawning, we were okay. And so now we try to kill enemies before entering that room so that we don't have to wait around too long. And so here we are. We have some walking sections that don't make a whole lot of sense, and now we're at the boss. This guy's tough. He has a single move that we don't want. All of his other moves are great for us. They're very easy for us to deal with. But he's the Great Troll, and it's a really apt name for him because he really likes to troll us. So I'm going to hope to avoid the tennis swing. There's that weapon upgrade I mentioned. Slam is good. Slam means he's going to roar, so I can do lots of damage here. That's the move, the big tennis baseball swing thing. We don't want that because it pushes us so far away. That move's good because we can block it and we can attempt a counter hit, though the counter hit missed. And here we're going to take a death because I was about to run out of mana, and we need our mana. Slam's good. Slam means he's going to roar. And this might be enough. No, we're going to get one more attack. Unfortunately, it's the tennis swing again. So finish him off real quick. Not too bad. Actually a pretty good dungeon deep. So troll is now melting into some fire, and we will be able to end the level as soon as this cutscene is over. A silly boss fight. It's so funny that he has like 8 moves that are good and 1 that's bad, yet he likes doing the one that's bad all the time. Now we're entering Underworld Crossing. It may be noticeable at this point in the run that there doesn't always seem to be a logical progression between the locations for each level. For instance, how did we get here? I guess we just teleported magically here or something. A lot of that's probably because so much content was cut, and so it looks like there was probably some levels between the previous one and this one before, and they got rid of those. That would have maybe explained how we got here, but this biome, this area, I actually like quite a bit. It looks really pretty. So these are some of my favorite levels aesthetically. You can kind of notice that Elf looks like he fits into these levels pretty good. Like the color palette and everything seems to match. It seems like different areas were meant to heavily relate to different characters. And this was presumably supposed to be Elf's like area, where we were probably going to get like a lot of lore on Elf or something. Standing Stones was going to be the place for Wizard. We actually have cutscenes, like removed cutscenes that we can see from early displayed footage that tell us that. The first zone was where the warrior was from. So like all these different areas tell us a little bit about the characters, but a lot of the cutscenes were cut out, so we don't get to learn that as much. So in this level, we have to take teleporters and activate levers in order to progress through each section of the level. And in this room, we don't want to have to walk back up, so once again, we're going to try to take some death warps, so we just need the trolls to kill us real quick. And pretty soon here, there we go. That'll put us right back at the top, and now we can teleport. We're going to do that 2 more times, as there are 2 more levers. This level and the next level both are very like sort of objective heavy, where we have to just like activate a lot of things in order to get to the end of the level, whereas a lot of the other levels were more about killing stuff and destroying things. This one's about like, you know, hit these levers. The next level, it's crystals that we have to activate, so it's a little bit of a shift in the gameplay, which is kind of welcome. Breaks the mold, breaks the pattern. Here I'm gonna run over here before picking up the key that I need, and that's so I can destroy this, because there's a blue wall there that has to disappear, and it takes some time to disappear. So I destroy that first, let the blue wall disappear, then I come back. And now, same thing, we're gonna run down here. I'm gonna end up taking a death warp, so taking a little damage on my way down is actually not a bad idea. Let's see if we can take some hits here. This has put me about half health, a little under half health, which is actually quite good. See if I can take this fireball as well. And now we've pulled the lever. And then as soon as this cutscene's over, hopefully these royal guards can take us out pretty quickly. Sometimes there's trolls here too, and if the trolls are here, the royal guards will like sometimes be fighting the trolls, and so like you almost have to third wheel on a battle. You have to be like, hey guys, I'm here too. Can I fight? And like you're trying to convince them to hit you so you can death warp. Once again,
Death has a beard.
Death has a beard. Our favorite little dude. He's gonna help us potentially lose some of the health we want to lose for our next warp. But if we lose too much too early, I'll just burst him away. So we're just gonna run over here. We're gonna pick up this key. And I'm gonna slam these generators instead of using Continental, because since all the generators are like stacked on top of each other, we'll burst Death away because we've taken enough here. Since all the generators were like right next to each other, Continental can't hit them all at once, but the slam can. So the slam's a little better. That's one of the few times where we actually intentionally avoid using Continental. So gonna pull this lever, and now we just need these trolls to take us out. Trolls are a little more annoying to take death warps from because they like to step backwards after they swing. And it's like, come on. I don't want you to, don't hold back, you know? I need this right now. I need to have some time to save. So there we go. We've taken that last warp, and now we just need to finish off the level by destroying these generators. So we're gonna Continental them. And that's that level. Deep Fortress. We are now at the second to last level of the run. Deep Fortress is a cool level. I also really like how this one looks, and I think the crystal mechanic is really fun. It's one of the mechanics I wish they had actually worked into the game a little bit more. we have to activate these crystals in order to move on, and there's some quirks with that. But first, let's let this explosive troll deal some damage to me. Just trying to set up for a death warp that I'm going to take once I get up here. Also, apologies if you hear my cat. She has woken up from a nap and is probably a little energetic, so after this I'll play with her. But alright, so here we see we just activated a spawn point. That's where we're going to spawn later on, and that's what the death warp's for. So we have crystals here. We have to activate 3 crystals to move on. Problem is, they only stay active for a couple seconds, so we have to be quick. So I'm going to run. I'm going to grab this one. I got to run, get over here, and we made it. We have to do that a couple times on this level, and it's kind of a cool mechanic. You have to rush, you have to get the crystals really quickly. It's led to us having to do some practice and find some strats to make these sections faster, because there's the second set of crystals where, and that's the death warp. The second set of crystals where usually you have to go through twice. You have to do one pass to destroy the generators and another to activate the crystals, but we're actually able to do it in one if we're quick enough, so let's try. We're gonna keep going. We gotta destroy this one really quickly. Now this last one, we actually have a trick for it. We don't have to destroy the generator, and we got it in one cycle. Saves a little time. It's actually kind of tough. The timing's really tight, but we've gotten a lot of practice on this, so we get it pretty consistently. But I love that part because it just feels so fun. I guess, you know, I'm a speedrunner. I like going fast. So I like when the game rewards me for going fast and says, like, hey, you're actually supposed to do that here. So now, another little breather. We got to run to the end of the level. There's a couple more crystals to activate, but those ones are actually a little easier than the old ones. And I'll show why when we get there. But another moment where we could, you know, read a donation, read chat, do whatever. Pick our nose, drink some water, eat some food. And that's actually, I usually have a lot of water when I play, and so I'm usually drinking water during these breaks. Alright, these crystals, a couple more to activate, but there's a little weird quirk with them. We only have to go up half of the stairs to reach them for some reason. So that makes this one actually quite a bit easier than the other ones. And there we go. Fully finished up with all those crystals, and we have activated the teleporter. And this is going to take us to the final boss. So the final boss is named Caldera, and he's this big demon guy, and he's very scary. So, possibly a little intimidating to enter this fight and go, ooh, gotta fight this giant demon. Well, as it turns out, with the rush development cycles and stuff, we don't actually have to fight him that much at all. We don't even really interact with him. He's just kind of there. He'll shoot some fireballs at us, and we'll try not to die to that. But for this whole level, what we're going to be doing is pulling levers and then activating ballistas. And that's how we damage Caldera. It's a little bit disappointing if you're a casual player doing this for the first time and you realize, oh, well, all those other boss fights I actually got to fight them, but for this one I just pull some levers. That's kind of a bummer. But as a speedrunner, I kind of love this because it means the very last level at the end of the run is, quite frankly, one of the most relaxing levels. Like, I just have to pull some levers. There's really no, like, it's no big deal. There's some tricks we use at the end. We're going to try to prevent some enemy spawns and make this a little bit easier for the ending portion. But, yeah, for the most part, this is a pretty chill level. It means that once you've gotten through a lot of the harder mid-game levels, you get to kind of just, you know, let your guard down, take a little break, and finish off the run without stressing too much. So, here's what I need to do. I bursted some enemies for safety just to, like, keep them off of me, but right now, I need to stack up as many enemies as I can because I want to clog up the entity count so much that new enemies can't spawn anymore. If I do this right, I will be able to have 0 enemies properly spawning at the end of the level. So, there's an island here in the middle. I'm not going to kill any of these guys. I want them to stay alive because they're going to help with this. And then everyone who spawns here, I want them to stay here. I don't want them to follow me. So I'm going to pull this and I'm going to stand back here. Once that bridge is up, I'm going to run. And if nobody follows me, which it looks like no one did, I have prevented true enemy spawns. Now, there's a couple scripted spawns. You'll see them climb up right here. Boop. And a couple behind me. These enemies are scripted. They are always spawned in. But what we're hoping for is that if all of the enemies really did get stuck on that previous island, once we clear out all the scripted spawns, no one else will spawn, and we can finish the level by ourselves. We'll have a few more enemies at the very, very end, but it will make this section easier. And of course, we have to welcome back our absolute favorite thing in the game, pushing rocks. And yes, here we see no more enemies respawning. So great, we did do it. It's a pretty consistent trick. For some reason, it seems like this boss fight ended up just being a copy and paste of a bunch of other mechanics, so we push stones again. Couple more levers, and then time will be right after I pull this final ballista. A couple enemies in my way, but it's no big deal, and boom! 5401. Pretty good run. Pretty good run. Obviously a little slower. I took some extra time on Playtown to explain the Scarecrow clip, because when you do it all in one go, you have like 2 seconds. It's so fast, and so I wanted to show what was going on, since that was probably the coolest, like the original discovery for the game, which is really cool to me. So 5401, pretty great run. I'm so happy with where this game has gone. This category might not be as flashy as the 1PMC category, where we're allowed to use multiple controllers, but it still has evolved so spectacularly. Having a 52-minute run using the same resources functionally as the previous an hour and 1 minute record that was long standing for like 9 years long, it's incredible. And it's all because of the love and passion that the 3 runners who are currently running this game, me, Boyo, and Bluescreen, have just been pouring into this game. We already have some other people interested in running that are thinking about getting in the mix, which is awesome. Recently, in one of Boyo's live streams, and then later on in one of my own, the old world record holder, Pote, came back seeing that people were running the game, and he was talking to us, and he thinks he might actually start running the game again, which is awesome to see, because Pote has functionally been in retirement since the 9-year gap of the old world record for this game. He hasn't really been online, hasn't been streaming anything or running any games, so to have a veteran of this game get revived and pulled back into the scene because of all of the passion that's getting poured into it, it's so incredible to see. I am borderline getting emotional here, and I'm going to try not to cry just so I can get through everything I'm trying to say, but I just want to express that this has been an incredibly special couple of months for me. I have really enjoyed getting to know all of the different people in the Gauntlet community. Even the people outside of Seven Sorrows have been so nice and so welcoming. It's so fun that we all have kind of come together and rallied around this game. Huge shout out to Bluescreen for finding tons of strategies for these runs. Huge shout out to Boyo. He has been an absolute pillar for the Gauntlet community. He holds world records in a lot of the other games, and he's been incredibly welcoming. He's been incredibly good at harboring an awesome community around the Gauntlet series as a set of speed games, and he's been running the game with us lately, and it's just been so fun. I want to thank anyone who took the time out of their day to spend a little bit with Seven Sorrows. It's a game that's very special to me. It's very special to a couple other people too, and I hope other people can enjoy a little bit of it and show this game a little bit of love, because I think despite the shortcomings of this game, it deserves so much love. It's honestly a cool game, and as a speed game, it's fantastic. So that's Gauntlet 7 Sorrows. That's the Any %. That's New Game Any %. Single controller, very fun run, very fun game, and I thank everyone for spending some time with this.